Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy. I'm Morgan, and today we are having some fun. The last few episodes, I've been getting deep. And I definitely want to thank everyone who not only commented on the YouTube version of the podcast, but also sent me messages really in support of last week's episode about transformations and facing your fears. I definitely want to thank you all so much for those comments and messages. They just made me feel great, made me feel a little bit less apprehensive about that podcast episode going out. But some of you even told me like what resonated with you or what your takeaway was. And I absolutely love that. So thank you so much. We have been getting deep. I was even going to go like even deeper into just like magic and energetics and things like that. And I was like, you know what? Spooky season is officially here. The season of the witch is officially here. I want to have some fucking fun. Because that's what a few episodes ago, I was talking about getting your witchy groove back. And a lot of people reached out to me and were like, I'm feeling the same way. I feel like I'm in this witchy funk. Thank you for your tips. And then I just went and everything last week. And so let's have some fun. Okay. So what I'm going to be talking about today is witchy shit to do during the season of the witch. Yes. So the season of the witch has officially started, and while it is a fun thing to say, oh, the season of the witch is here, and you know that that's kind of around Halloween, it is an actual time frame. Okay, it is crazy. Like when we were researching it here for the Seasons of the Witch box, which by the way sold out. I cannot be more grateful for that. Like, thank you to everyone who purchased a box this month, because we've sold out 2 weeks before ordering is even over. And we even increased the boxes by like 45. It has been absolutely crazy, and I am so grateful for that. So thank you. But in doing research for Season of the Witch, we found out that it is an actual time frame. It's like a historical time frame. Okay, it starts at the fall equinox, which was a couple of days ago. It was Sunday the 22nd. And it lasts until the Wild Hunt, which is a Norse tradition. The Wild Hunt happens around Yule. If you're like, oh, that's great, Morgan. Wild Hunt? When is that? It happens around Yule. And it was this great hunting expedition thing that Odin took, the Norse head god. So that is your actual time frame of the season of the witch. Fall equinox to Yule. All right. So back on episode 35 in 2021, I did an episode called The Season of the Witch. And that's where I not only talked about the things that were coming up on the podcast for that season, for October, but I also talked about what the Season of the Witch is, the energies and stuff like that. That was 3 years ago. So I do want to do just a little bit of a recap, and also give you all some fun practices, because I really think we all need some fun right now. And I don't know if you all have been able to tell, those watching on YouTube, but slowly my chair has just gone down. It's just one of those weeks. Well, it's the season of the witch, you guys. The veil is thin. As many of you know, we do have an in-house ghost. We call him George. I am actually not sure of what his name is, but we call him George because his energy is very much grumpy old man. He, every once in a while, smells like cigars. We'll come in and the place will smell like someone has just lit a cigar in here. He likes to fuck with my ring light, which is on. at the moment. He likes to fuck with it during live gemstone sales, especially when I'm showing amethyst for some reason, or anything that needs the sparkle shown. Yeah. We did actually, I'm just going to go on tangents because this is fun. We did go shopping for George yesterday. We went shopping for the shop, and for the upcoming spooky season, upcoming holiday season, we went to some of our gemstone vendors, but we did buy George his own black amethyst so that he could stop messing with my ring light. It's still in a box, though. I do need to go unpack that so that he plays nicely with us. Anyway, so yes, the veil is very thin this time of year. I cannot wait now that we interact with George on a pretty regular basis. I can't wait to see what the spooky season holds for the office here. But during this season, the veil between the worlds is thin, and it starts to thin now around the equinox, fall equinox. And it starts to thin until its peak is somewhere around Samhain. But the veil still, until Yule, you're still going to have a thin veil. Yule is going to be the longest night of the year. So it's the equinox, fall equinox, day and night are of equal length. Okay. And then as we go from the start of fall to Yule, the nights grow longer, the days grow shorter. So once we hit Yule, that's the longest night of the year. After that, the days start to get longer and the nights start to get shorter until we hit the spring equinox, which is Ostara. Okay. So the veil during the time when darkness outweighs light, the veil is thin. And that's just like overall. All right. So, but this is the time period when it really starts to thin. And it's the veil between, it's a veil, but it's like the disconnect, or the connection between our world and the spirit realm. Okay. So things like divination, meditation, spirit journeying, astral travel, spirit communication, and ancestor magic are all easier with a thinner veil. Okay. So if you're thinking about, and I don't know what your beliefs are, the way that I understand it and the way that I have worked with a thin veil is basically like sitting here in this room with me right now. George could be sitting here with me. Okay. Many other spirits could be sitting in here with me. And it's basically just like, we can't see each other. We can't talk to each other because we're here together, but we're almost, on just different levels. Okay. So that's when the veil between the worlds starts to thin, and you can communicate, you can see, you can feel, you can sense things that aren't there. And I'm using like air bunny quotation marks for those listening to the podcast. They're there. You just you are unable to sense them or see them or hear them when the veil is not as thin as it is during this time period. Okay. So as the nights get longer, journeying into the darkness also resonates with this energy. So things like shadow work, introspection, cleansings, banishings, and releasings. So whether you do rituals or spells for any of those, the dark season is also an amazing time for protection spells and protection rituals. And as we move in this podcast over to the fun things that you can do, the really interesting way that I've written all the information out is I'm going to tell you some fun practices to do, but they are all magical, even if you didn't realize that they're magical. So protection is another thing that you can do, and I'll go over that in a minute too. As it is also the harvest season, so the first pagan harvest celebration is Lammas or Lunasa, which is August 1st. The second pagan harvest festival, which is the biggest one, is Mabon, which is fall equinox, which was just a couple of days ago. Believe it or not, Samhain is the third harvest festival of 3 harvest festivals. A lot of people don't realize it's a harvest festival. They think, okay, Lunasa or Lammas and Mabon, and that's it. Those are the harvest festivals. But technically, Samhain is also a harvest festival. It's when they would have, back in the day, done the last bit of harvesting before the crops, the fields were no longer producing anything, and everyone had to hunker down for the winter. Okay. So Samhain is also a harvest festival. As this season right now is a harvest season, things like gratitude magic and kitchen witchery are also great practices that automatically work with the energy of the season of the witch. And then soul nourishing or feel good foods can definitely help offset the darker mood of the season. Okay, so that is why you see a lot of soups this time of year, chilies, stews, baking. So we see a lot of cakes and pies and cookies and things like that, because this is a time of self-care. This is a time of rest. That is another big, huge energy for the season of the witch is rest. Okay, you are going to be emotionally, mentally, metaphysically, magically preparing yourself for the dark season. Okay. And the process of that is taking care of yourself. It is nourishing yourself. So as we get into the darker part of the season, your mood stays high. You stay optimistic. You stay in those magical vibes of the dark season. Okay. There is a thing as seasonal depression. And because I believe that spiritual people, especially magical people like witches, so much of your life intertwines, that if your mood is low, your magic is low. And if your magic is low, your mood is low. So by incorporating a little bit more fun magically and a little bit more energy magically, you're going to naturally boost your regular energy when it comes to things like emotions, your mental capacity to get through the winter and things like that. I feel like it is all interwoven. So you need to take care of yourself on all levels, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as well as physically. And that's just how I believe that life should be. I think that you should take care of yourself on all levels. And then once you are taking care of yourself on all levels, you'll see things in your physical realm start to fix or cure or heal. You'll see your mental health improve. You'll see your emotional health improve, because you're dealing with everything. You're tackling everything on every level because you are a whole person. Okay, that's I'm off my soapbox now. Although I guess maybe my podcast episodes are just me on a soapbox for 30 minutes every week, aren't they? Yeah, all right. So anyway, that is why soul nourishing, feel good foods, that's why we crave them this time of year. We crave them for the comfort. We crave them for the self-care, for the stability, for the groundedness. This is why we're eating during the winter a lot of things like potatoes and carrots and stews with potatoes and carrots and meat and things like that, because all of that stuff brings us and grounds our energy downward. Okay. And that's what a lot of us need. All right. Hold on. Let me flip my book. Okay. So for more information and magical correspondences for the season of the witch, such as gemstones, herbs, oils, incenses, I'm not going to go over those today because those are on our blog at inkedgoddesscreations.com. If you go to my website, you'll see in the top bar, or if you're on mobile, just click the little, I guess they call it a hamburger, don't they? The little 3 lines thing, and you'll see blog. Click on that and you'll see a blog post called Season of the Witch. And that's the one you want to click on. And Megan wrote an amazing article, but she did incorporate things like gemstones, herbs, oils, and incense for working with the season of the witch. Okay. So let's get to the fun stuff. I'm going to start out by saying something not fun. And that is, the election is coming up here in America. Yes. So things right now are very tense, period. Okay, I am not going to get into politics, but what I am going to say is the energy is tense in America. Okay, the energy is tense, and oh my God, it is intense as well. So much. Okay, so I want to lighten the mood, period. I want to lighten the podcast. I've been getting super, super deep lately, which is not bad. It's not a bad thing, but I think If I stay super deep and super, like in there, then a lot of you are going to be like, oh my God, what is she going through and why is she taking us with her on it? Some of you are going to be like, oh my God, what is she going through? Why? And yes, she's taking us with her on it. But I definitely am not all serious all the time. One of my amazing traits is my ability to look on the bright side of even absolutely horrific situations. But I use humor to lighten the mood. It's probably a trauma thing. I don't know. I consider myself Gen X, and I think that is an absolute characteristic of Gen X, is the ability to use humor to get out of tense situations. But my ability to shift a mood is pretty damn good. Okay, so let's shift it. All right, things are tense. Things are intense. Let's fucking get out of that. And let's get into some fun, okay? So what I'm going to go over now are just fun things you can do to honor the season of the witch and its energy, to work with its energy. Now, a lot of these are going to seem mundane, but I can guarantee you they are magical in origin, and I will talk about that as I go over each one. So even if you are like, Morgan, I am done, I am drained, I cannot. That's it. I just cannot. Because I think you understand, a lot of you understand that statement. There are just days I cannot. That's it. So even if that is the way you are, like if you've hit that right now, then I promise you, even incorporating doing some of these things, you are being a witch. You are doing magical shit. You are doing witchy shit. Okay? So the first thing is participate in, quote, typical fall activities, unquote. Okay? So things like visiting a pumpkin patch, visiting an apple orchard, having fun at a corn maze. You're like, yeah, Morgan, those are all fall things. These are all ways to honor and work with the energy of the season of the witch, okay? Pumpkins are good for prosperity, love, granting wishes. I think it's the pumpkin seeds. So even if you want to if you're going to get a pumpkin and you're going to carve it out and you're going to take all the slime out and then roast the pumpkin seeds. That was my favorite part when I was a kid of the whole pumpkin process, is the pumpkin seeds. I'm not going to lie. So roast your pumpkin seeds. I think you make wishes on them, like as you're eating them, or you can make wishes on them and plant them. But anyway, pumpkins, prosperity, love, wishes, and of course when they're carved, their protection. That is where jack-o'-lanterns came from. Jack-o'-lanterns used to be either pumpkins or gourds, but they believed that if you carve them, they believed that, on Samhain or Halloween night, that evil spirits roamed. So what they would do is they would carve pumpkins or gourds with these scary faces and then put lights in them to scare off the evil spirits as they wandered around during this thin veil. They said, okay, we're going to put them outside, and then these jack-o'-lanterns, these gourds, these scary things will protect us from the evil spirits coming into our home. There's your origin of the jack-o'-lantern. So even something as carving a jack-o'-lantern with your kids is 100% magical. And it has, especially if you're carving and you're like, oh, protect me from evil, protect me from negative energy. You're just thinking that in your head. You're infusing those intentions into what is been a practice you may have done for 20, 30 years of your life. Now it's magical, okay? It's always been magical, but now you know it, and now you can infuse it with that energy, okay? Apples are for gratitude, love, health, abundance, Avalon, of course, and protection, especially if you take an apple and you chop it horizontally, then you get that star in the middle. You end up with a natural pentacle, the round of the apple with the star seeds in the middle, okay? So if you're at the apple orchard, if you're making apple pie, if you're making apple cider, if you're drinking apple cider, just think about these energies, and then you're automatically infusing your intentions into what you're doing, and you're infusing that magic into it, okay? And then corn, if you go to a corn maze, Corn is for protection, divination, abundance, and stability. Okay, so as you're going through this corn maze, you're having fun with your significant other, your kids, whoever. Just think about how you are grounding down into the earth, into this practice, into this happy moment, and bam, you've made a corn maze, witchy and magical. Okay. Spirit communication is also very much a fall activity. I mean, if you're a medium, you just communicate with spirits all the time. But spirit communication and working with the thin veil definitely works with the energy of this season. Okay, so you can visit a graveyard, especially if the graveyard has your ancestors in it. So you can definitely, decorate their graves. You can sit and just talk with them. These are all practices that are really good during the thin veil, but help you connect to that energy. You can also set up an ancestor altar. Okay. You can play with a Ouija board. Yes, I said it. Play with a Ouija board. Yeah. So I do have an episode 75. I definitely, if you're new to the podcast, please go back and listen to that one. Episode 75 is called Spirit Boards, Spirit Communication, or Portal to Hell. And that was, I think, a 2022 episode, because we posted an infographic that had a spirit board or a Ouija board on it. I literally had someone email me about how they could no longer support my company because I'm telling people to go out and play with spirit boards, Ouija boards, and those are portals to hell. And this is supposedly a witch that sent me this message too, which really floored me. So I did a snarky podcast episode on it because I'm not here for that kind of energy. Spirit boards are not portals to hell. And in the episode, Spirit Boards, Spirit Communication, or Portal to Hell, I tell you how to use a spirit board safely and not efficiently. What's the other word I'm looking for? Safely and responsibly. That's the word, responsibly. Okay? Just because, first of all, if you're using an actual Ouija board from like Parker Brothers, are they evil? Or Parker Brothers? Because I think that's Parker Brothers that did it, right? Are they? It's a game. It's a fucking board game. Okay? Now, if you take it one step further, like my friends and I did, I used to make spirit boards, wood burn spirit boards, used to, consecrate them, cleanse them, all kinds of fun stuff. And those are the ones we use. Those are a little bit more serious. And those are the ones you should take precaution with. But a fucking board game that you can buy at Target, it's a board game. Okay? Anyway, you can also go on a ghost tour or go ghost hunting. Like if you and your friends know of a place or, whatever. It's just the veil between the worlds is really thin. So those can be fun things that you do. Okay. I'm going to share with you all just a very fun fact about me. I will 100% go to a real haunted house or haunted location. If anybody wants to go, I'm down. If anybody wants to go at midnight, 3:00 in the morning, I mean, besides the fact that that's way past my bedtime, I love shit like that. Okay. Now, you try to get me to go to a fake haunted house like the Slaughterhouse one here in Tucson, and fuck you. I hate a fake haunted house. I hate them. I loathe them. It does 100% stem from when I was younger. My dad worked for the fire department, and he volunteered at the fire department in this little small town that we were in. Well, the volunteer fire department would put together a haunted house in this, what used to be, I think, a hardware store, this empty building in our town. And I was super scared, didn't want to go. And my dad said, honey, they can't touch you. Like legally, they can't touch you. So you don't have anything to worry about. Just stay with me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. And we're going through the thing. And because the guys running the haunted house saw my dad and recognized my dad, one of the guys reached out and grabbed me while we were going around the corner. It scared the shit out of me. I was probably, 10, 11, 12 at the time, but that was it. I was done. I never wanted to go again. I think I went to one in high school, and I can remember sandwiching myself in between people and basically like doing this the whole time. I hated it. I don't like fake haunted houses at all. So if anybody wants to go to a real haunted house and do some ghost hunting, I'm game. If you want to try and drag me to a fake one, I pass. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. During the season of the witch, get witchcrafty. Do y'all like what I did there? I'm a nerd. Okay, anyway. This is the season of protection. Okay, so this is when you want to put up your crystal grids around your house. This is when you want to make fun things for around your house. For most people, I will say for most of you, the weather's going to start getting colder. You're going to stop going outside as much. So here in Tucson, this is actually our tourist season starts in October. Our tourist season runs October to April. So this is when we come out of the house and we actually go and become a functioning member of society outside of the house. And we have seasonal depression in the summer because it's 115. So anyway, but for most of you, you're going to be in the house. So this is the time to make things that have to deal with protection. So you can make a pinnacle wreath. You can make witch bells. You can gather fallen leaves and sticks for crafts or for your altar. You can journal or art journal. And then if you knit or crochet, now's the time to do it. But while you're knitting or crocheting, you're infusing cozy intentions into it, especially if you're going to give them to other people, like blankets or hats or scarves or whatever you're knitting or crocheting. But you can also infuse it with protection energy as well. So your intentions, you're thinking about it protecting people or having them feel cozy and grounded underneath the blanket that you're making for them. But this is a time, because you're already in the house, you might as well get crafty. And if you make protection items, then that amplifies, because that's the energy of the season. Okay. And then the last thing I have for you is get cozy. Okay. If you think that being lazy, quote unquote lazy, during the winter, during the fall leading up into the winter, like, oh my God, I'm so lazy. I never have motivation this time of year. How am I supposed to do this and this and this? This is the season of rest. Okay. Right now, you're preparing for the darker season. But as the nights get longer, you naturally will want to rest more. Okay. So do that. Practice self-care. Get cozy. Watch your scary or your witchy movies. Read your scary or your witchy books. Drink pumpkin spice everything. Pumpkin spice in itself, because it has nutmeg, clove, ginger, they're all protection and they're all healing herbs. Okay, so your pumpkin spice is actually magical, all right? Drink your apple cider, drink your cocoa. Take care of yourself. Practice self-care. Be cozy and fucking rest. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Rest. We have become a society of people who just go, 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 go. And if you're not going, then you're not functional. If you're not going, then you're not being productive. If you're not going, then you're not worth anything. And that's fucking bullshit. That leads to burnout. That leads to resentment of your life, your job, your family, your kids, everything. Okay? So rest. You have to rest. And resting gives you the appreciation of when you are functioning. It makes you more productive. It makes you want to work. So rest and take care of yourself. Nourish yourself. Practice self-care. Get fucking cozy. It is the cozy season. They call it sweater weather for a reason. Sweaters are comforting. They envelope you. They make you feel secure. They ground your energy down. You feel like you can breathe a little bit more. And if it's soft and squishy, it makes you smile. And that is not a bad thing. Okay? So practice self-care. Ground your energy. Dive into, indulge in the cozy season, because that's what helps keep your mood high for when the nights are way longer than the days. All right? Let me see. Is that what I have? Yes, all of these practices are magical. Rest is magical. That's how I want to end today. Yes. So we've talked a little bit about fun today, infusing some fun into your season of the witch. And I do want to let everyone know, if you are in Tucson or near Tucson, we have the Witches Bazaar coming up on Saturday, October 12th here in Tucson. It is our first in-office, in-person event. We are opening the doors to our office. We will have 25 amazing handmade vendors and readers. We have an astrologist that's going to be here. It is going to be so much fun. I even have food trucks, you guys. And right now we have a coffee food truck. Y'all, those of you watching on YouTube, you can see how happy I get about food, okay? We have a coffee food truck. We have an ice cream and candy food truck because it's a Witches Bazaar. We also have a street food. So like Sonoran hot dogs, quesadillas, and I think their Mexican corn was like voted best Mexican corn or something like that. I'm so excited. And then we have a ramen truck, but it's Korean ramen. So it's spelled differently and it's supposedly all like spicy, but they also have like rice bowls. And I'm just like so excited because we have food trucks. Like, I don't know if you can have an event without a food truck. And oh, I love it so much. Anyway, the focus is not the food trucks. It is called the Witches Bazaar. And so, yes, we're opening up our office. We're going to have a table set up to where you can buy items. We're going to have some bazaar exclusive items there too, but we're going to have 25 other vendors and readers filled throughout the office. It's from 12 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, October 12th. So you can come out, meet me, meet Colin, meet the team here at Ink Goddess Creations. Shop for yourself, have some fun, eat some amazing food, and meet a lot of other people from the witchy community here in Tucson. So even if you're in surrounding cities, please come visit us. It's Saturday, October 12th. You can read more and you can look at all the vendors and read more, get the address, all that good stuff. And you don't have to stay the whole like 12 to 6, it's a drop-in type thing. But that will be it. It's witches-bazaar.com. Or if you just go to inkgoddesscreations.com and on the main page, scroll down a little bit, you'll see a big banner for Witches Bazaar. And then you can just click the Learn More button and you'll see all of that fun stuff there. Yes. Moving into the month of October, we're going to be healing your witch wound in the Ink Spirit Coven. And I'm very excited about this because this is what I've been working on for the last year. The witch wound will tell you lies. The witch wound tells you it's not safe to be yourself. The witch wound tells you it is not safe to stand out. The witch wound tells you that if you are your true authentic self, that people will not accept you and that bad things will happen. So the witch wound tries to keep you small. It tries to keep you from being your authentic self. And it tries to keep you in this wounded position because that is quote unquote safe. And it's not. So I'm going to be sharing, this is the journey I've been on for the last year, is healing my witch wound, embracing who I am at my core, being my authentic self everywhere I go. And that's what I'm going to be teaching the Ink Spirit members about in the month of October. So we're going to be going over healing, period, using the element of water for healing, but how to use it for healing your witch wound. That's going to be the lesson for the first half of the month. And then the second half of the month, we're going to have a guided meditation that I'm going to take everyone on to help them heal their witch wound. So if this sounds amazing to you, then you can head to inkedspirit.com to join us. I want to thank you all so much for giving me a platform to share my craziness, to be myself. Thank you for listening, and I will see you all again next week. Bye.